Okay, let's start. Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Yeah, I'm Kinjo, a founder of Akindo, which is the acceleration program WaveHack Global. I'm super excited to have ZetaChain as a grant partner. I've been looking forward to this collaboration. Thank you for joining us today, Dennis. Dennis, thanks for joining today. Yeah, I'm also excited to hear about the amazing potential of this chain from you. Yeah, today's facilitator will be Morio Wakindo. So yeah, may I start today, Morio? Please.
Okay, thank you, Kinjo-san. And everyone, hello everyone, and welcome to our WaveHack Global onboarding session. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. WaveHack Global is an exciting prize-funded acceleration program designed to spawn the next great crypto applications by this summer. Our mission is to help you bring your finest products to market. With the support of our top-tier project partners, including ZetaChain, we provide grants and feedback to enhance your products, supporting both new launches and the expansion of existing solutions. The program is already underway, and as we gear up for 3 major demo days in Japan this summer, let's remember why WaveHack Global is the event to be a part of. You'll have the opportunity to receive grants from leading global projects like zkSync, Aptos, Mina Protocol, The Graph, Manta Network, Superfluid, XRP Ledger, and ZetaChain. Every 2 weeks, you'll get valuable feedback from these top projects judges, and our weekly online study sessions are the perfect chance to learn about the latest technologies and in-demand products. Moreover, you'll have the unique chance to pitch at the major crypto conferences in Japan this summer, which are IVS-Crypto, EduCon, and WebEx. WebHack Global is an acceleration for global dapps builders, open to all builders at any time, either teams or individuals, free of charge. This summer, you have the opportunity to astonish a broad audience with your projects, tailored to our grant partners' themes, pushing towards mass adoption of crypto. Yep, today, we are joined by Denis from ZetaChain, who will be leading this workshop. ZetaChain is the first universal blockchain. With its universal EVM, ZetaChain is an layer 1 blockchain for chain abstraction. Build simple, secure, omnichain apps that span any chain from Ethereum and Cosmos to Bitcoin and beyond. So thank you for being here, and let's make the most of this workshop to build something great together. Now, let's take a quick look at the agenda for our workshop today. The first, I will introduce Denis. Yeah, we'll start by getting to know Denis, who plays a crucial role in developer experience at ZetaChain. Then Denis will provide an overview of the ZetaChain and give a detailed presentation what is needed for building and to win the opportunity in the WaveHack Global. Then finally, we will have a Q&A session where you can ask Denis any questions you may have about the ZetaChain or your projects. You can add comment on YouTube anytime during the session, and we will pick as much questions as possible and answer them. And be aware, ZetaChain's build theme at WaveHack Global is Build Universal Apps, Social, NFT, or Gaming, which includes a 10,000 US dollar grant. This theme challenges you to unleash your creativity and build universal apps, leveraging ZetaChain's unique capabilities. We're excited to see what you will build and how you will leverage ZetaChain to push the boundaries of what's possible in the blockchain space. Let's make this session productive and insightful. Okay, now, without further ado, let's welcome Denis to share his insights and expertise with us. Denis, thank you for joining us today. We're all eager to learn more about ZetaChain and how we can utilize it in our projects. The floor is yours.
Thank you, and welcome everyone to the hackathon. Very excited to be here. So let's start. I'm going to talk about the project, but before we talk about ZetaChain, let's talk about the market in general, the industry. What do we have out there? We have Bitcoin, we have Solana, we have a bunch of rollups, L2s, we have a network of Cosmos chains, blockchains built on Move, and a bunch of EVM chains. And every single day, almost, a new chain pops up, and they're all kind of disconnected right now. Some of them are connected with certain protocols, but in general, it's a pretty big industry with very diverse set of ecosystems. This presents a lot of challenges for dApp developers and users. So the current solutions that bring blockchains together are not great. They pose high risk to end users if they're centralized, or they rely too heavily on bridges that can be hacked. They're also fragmented because we have different ecosystems and not necessarily bridges between all of them, and they don't allow you to build any kind of applications you want. They impose restrictions based on the framework that they are built with. And the more chains we have, the more problems dApp developers and users face. The users have to think about assets they have on all these chains, having gas assets to be able to bridge one token to a different blockchain to put it in a dApp, for example. It's hard to onboard dApps on new blockchains, and even simple operations like staking your token can sometimes become a pretty big kind of challenge for end users. For developers, it's not easier. You have to think about where you deploy your dApp. How are you going to connect it to other dApps on other blockchains? If you want to make your dApp multi-chain, then you really have to think about, how do I synchronize the state across all these blockchains? And it's a lot of overhead to have when you're just trying to implement something that works and that solves a specific user problem. What if we thought about it in a different way, where there was a platform that connects everything and that provides this connectivity layer between all these ecosystems and blockchains and dApps? So that's what ZetaChain is. It's a platform for global access, simplicity, and utility across any blockchain. What does this mean in practice, right? Well, first of all, it's the idea of chain abstraction, because when you're building a dApp, it's virtually impossible for you to consider and deploy on all these blockchains, right? It's just too much overhead. Blockchains use different virtual machines, different languages. You probably want to integrate with Bitcoin, right? The biggest and arguably the most important blockchain there is, that doesn't support dApps. So how do you integrate with that without asking users to bridge BTC manually? So that's a lot to consider. And also, the solution that you're using should be secure and as efficient in terms of gas as possible. So ZetaChain provides this universal platform for developers to build dApps on. And we call these dApps universal because they can be accessed from any blockchain currently connected to ZetaChain, and any chain we connect in the future. It's also accessible from Bitcoin natively. It is future-proof because your dApp deploy on ZetaChain will be compatible with most chains we connect in the future. From developer experience, it's awesome because instead of having to deploy contracts on a bunch of different chains and then use bridges to somehow connect all of this together, you just deploy a single contract on ZetaChain, and users can interact with it from Ethereum, BNB, Bitcoin. Users don't even need to know that there is ZetaChain behind all of this because it's all abstracted away from users. And I'm going to share some examples later on. But what ZetaChain offers to accomplish this is unified liquidity. And this is very important because tokens are incredibly important for blockchains, right? That's how blockchains are secured. That's how you vote in governance. That's what you use to pay gas fees. And having liquidity in different places provides a pretty subpar experience. Whereas imagine if all the liquidity for all the tokens was accumulated in a single place where your dApp is, where you can easily leverage this liquidity for any purpose of your dApp. Building on ZetaChain is easy because we decided to stick with the EVM developer environment, which is very familiar to most blockchain developers. And additionally, you don't have to really think about multi-chain all that much because the set of APIs that we provide is very minimal. It's just all the tools you need to accept calls from connected chains and produce transactions as an output. So we've tried to abstract away everything that is possible, leaving you with a very clean EVM experience. So we call this universal EVM stack, where we have an EVM in the center where you deploy your contracts. We have a chain abstraction framework, which abstracts away all the blockchains we are connected to and provides a unified experience for you as a developer. All of this is built on top of a proof of stake consensus. So ZetaChain is built on top of Cosmos SDK and Comet BFT, which is a very good foundation for something like this because it's fast, it's secure, it offers a lot of features out of the box, and it allows us to focus on building interoperability and not consensus. So let's dive a bit deeper into what chain abstraction framework offers. From a developer point of view, it allows you to access all the chains from one single place, from your contract using the APIs that we provide. The way it works is we have a set of observer signer validators that observe connected chains and vote on observed transactions. So when transactions come in, observers see them, vote on them on ZetaChain. If the vote passes, then transaction is considered to be successful. And these observer signers are also responsible for signing outbound transactions using threshold signature scheme. So every blockchain has, we can call it a vault where tokens are where the tokens transferred to universal apps are stored, and they're secured by signer validators. At no point in time, a single entity has access to a private key to this vault. This key was generated in a distributed fashion and split into fragments, and each validator has its own fragment, and they use TSS to securely sign outbound transactions. So this means that from your point of view as a developer, you just deal with incoming transactions from connected chains, and you issue outbound transactions that observer signer validators then process. In practice, when you start building apps on ZetaChain, it's a very familiar experience. You clone a template that we provide, you install dependencies, run a command that creates a contract for you, a template contract. You can compile it, deploy it with a single command to ZetaChain. Remember, you don't have to deploy it to all the chains, you just deploy it once, and then you can interact with it from any connected chain. In this example, that's fully a testnet, but you can also use BNB or Bitcoin, more chains coming later this year. So universal apps, in our opinion, are more scalable and in general provide a better future-proof architecture to build your dApp. Most solutions out there are point-to-point messaging systems, which work, but they are not scalable to hundreds of blockchains. That's not happening because you have to create the number of connections that you have to create grows exponentially. Whereas if you build your dApp as a universal app, it's the number of connections grows linearly. It's the same as the number of chains you want to connect, and you don't have to maintain or think about these connections. They are established for you, and you just use the APIs that we provide to handle calls from these chains. If you decide to not process calls from specific chains, you can also do that as well. So you can temporarily exclude some chains if for some reason you don't want to process requests from them, which is very convenient. And of course, it supports Bitcoin, right? That's a huge advantage that many messaging systems do not offer. It's built with Cosmos SDK. The consensus engine is Comet BFT, which offers instant finality and a set of features, kind of low-level features that we don't have to worry about, and you definitely don't have to worry about that as well. We use Zeta token as the token to secure the network, as well as to participate in governance and for transaction fees. And TSS is used to sign outbound transactions on connected chains. And by the way, having this TSS address architecture allows us to support Bitcoin because we don't need a contract support on a connected chain. That's why we're also considering adding other chains that don't support smart contracts, but would definitely benefit from added interoperability. So again, the bridges and messaging systems are work, they have their place, but their limiting and complex applications are simply impossible. They also exclude Bitcoin, whereas universal apps, they are connected to everything out of the box, including Bitcoin, and they're much easier to build. So to help developers, we've started building applications. One of them is Zeta Hub that offers a lot of useful functionality out of the box for cross-chain transactions, pools. You can stake, you can participate in governance. It's a very useful app overall. We also have an explorer called ZetaScan. ZetaChain is an EVM compatible chain, so we have explorers like Block Scout available for you to debug your contracts, but at the same time, we have a lot of interoperability features that other explorers don't really support. So we had to build our own explorer that allows you as a developer to track cross-chain transactions and just generally have a better visibility on your dApp and the chain in general. We also have extensive documentation to support you along the way. We've recently updated it, so it's a brand new, beautiful, modern experience with updated tutorials. So it's anyway, let's move on to architecture and how your dApps compare if you build it as a universal app versus if you had to build it with messaging. So let's consider a simple DEX example. With messaging, what you do is you swap a token on the source chain. You then deposit it into a messaging contract. On the destination chain, you receive the message, process it, execute logic related to your application, and then use a DEX on the destination chain to swap to the destination token. So this is pretty complex and also adds slippage on both sides, which is not great if you're just trying to move value between blockchains. Compare now that to a universal DEX contract. A user on Ethereum in this example sends ETH to an address on ZetaChain that is owned by validators. So they transfer their asset into the custody of signer validators. This information about the transfer alongside a message goes into your universal contract. This contract uses liquidity pools on ZetaChain. You can use the ones we have that are powered by Uniswap v2, or you can use any other DEX deployed on ZetaChain. It's all unified on a single chain. And then you withdraw tokens in the destination token format to the chain you want. So in this case, that would be USDT to the BNB chain, for example. So this is a drastically different architecture, and it's much more simple, and the efficiency is also much better because the token transfer is about 20K gas, which is very low. You barely execute any logic on the source chain, and the output is a token transfer on the destination chain. And of course, you can do the same with Bitcoin. So exactly the same contract works with Bitcoin transfers, and you can swap it to USDT or any other token and withdraw it to a recipient. Of course, you're not limited to swap operations. It's just a good example to show what you can build. So universal apps definitely have an advantage over messaging style applications. With universal apps, you actually are sending messages as well, because you need to tell your contract on ZetaChain what is the target token, what is the recipient. But we gain in efficiency because we don't execute a lot of code on the source chain, which is pretty important for chains like Ethereum, where code execution is expensive. And also, we don't put requirements on connected chains. That's what allows us to support chains like Bitcoin. So deploying on ZetaChain, you will be joining a good company of other dApps already running on ZetaChain, such as SushiSwap. Curve is coming to ZetaChain soon. We have native apps built for ZetaChain that support all the features that we have, like Eddy Finance. We have games deployed on ZetaChain where you can send any asset from any connected chain and use this inside a game. So we have this upcade shooter. There are also social apps like Sugar, so it's not only limited to DeFi applications. You can, arguably, I think any application can benefit from this sort of interoperability. Of course, we have NFT projects like Plugman, but we're very excited to see what you guys will build, because you're not limited to just building a specific type of application. You can build virtually anything, from smart contract that focus on Bitcoin, that provide more value to Bitcoin holders, which maybe you use Bitcoin as collateral, or in some sort of DeFi applications. You can build social gaming identity applications. You can build aggregators that aggregate value and tokens from other chains and produce outputs based on your logic. And this, even though I didn't mention it, but this architecture is very intent-centric, because a user, when a user interacts with a universal app, what they do is they define their requirement in the message, and it's up to the app that you built to determine what exactly they want. So maybe a user wants to swap a token and get X amount of the target token. You can find the best way to accomplish this. So it's a very general purpose platform, and what we bring to the table is the interoperability and set of APIs, and it's up to you to build something cool with this. So I mentioned Bitcoin support, and I think it's pretty important that ZetaChain, with its universal EVM, essentially acts as a platform for people to build Bitcoin smart contracts. Because you have a contract on ZetaChain, it can natively accept input from Bitcoin. It can execute any kind of logic you can build on top of EVM, and then it could produce output on one or more chain. And the reason why I say it's native, because a user, when they initiate a transaction, all they have to do is sign one single transaction on Bitcoin. Everything else happens automatically, and it doesn't matter how many operations you execute, your application executes. It's all abstracted away from the user, so they don't have to think about it. They just sign one transaction, and this transaction triggers a sequence of events on one or more chains. And they can do that from the wallet they already have. So they don't have to install anything. They just use one of the wallets supported by ZetaChain, which the list is growing, and like you don't have to modify your wallet to be compatible with ZetaChain. It's just formatting your transaction a specific way. So apps like wallets like XDeFi, Xverse, Unisat, OKX are already compatible out of the box, and more are coming soon. So this provides a much better user experience. So instead of signing a bunch of different transactions, what users do is they just sign one from the wallet that they already have, which I don't think it gets better than this. And if you combine this with account abstraction provided by other projects like Particle Network, for example, you can achieve a very smooth user experience where you can just like sign in with Google account and then sign one transaction, then it executes a sequence of complex multi-chain transactions from that. We prioritize native rather than wrapped assets. So when you withdraw an asset, let's say USDT to BNB chain, you get the native USDT and not a ZetaChain wrapped version. I think that's important because what users want at the end of the day is a native asset without any ties to the transport layer that was used to transfer this asset. So it's not a ZetaChain USDT on BNB, it's the USDT on BNB. So users can use universal apps from the wallet that they already have on the chains that they're already using, which I think provides the best possible user experience. So on Bitcoin, it works exactly the same way as on any other chain we support. Bitcoin has a special address that represents the custody of signer validators, essentially the ZetaChain protocol address. And users send tokens to this, send BTC to this address, and the token gets sent to your universal app, at which point it's up to your contract to execute logic based on this input. You can also, of course, supply an arbitrary message that defines, for example, which tokens you want to swap for, or what kind of NFT you want to mint. So you sign a single transaction, and your universal app is triggered. So BTC can be sent to universal apps that can implement any DeFi applications, and they can transfer this value to other chains as well. So this allows developers to build super aggregator type of applications where your app can manage different assets on behalf of the users that send tokens to it. And you can maximize the yield of these tokens and allow users to withdraw rewards again from the same chains that they send the tokens in the first place. So what makes ZetaChain different from other solutions? Well, first of all, we embrace the EVM developer experience. So it's very familiar to you as a developer if you've built any applications on Ethereum, for example. So all the apps that work on Ethereum are going to work on ZetaChain out of the box. And you just need to modify it a bit to take advantage of the interoperability features that we offer. We also embrace the hub and spoke model where ZetaChain acts as a hub where you deploy your dapps to, and these dapps are connected to all the blockchains, and you issue commands that then processed by signer validators, such as withdrawing tokens. So your contract essentially can trigger a synchronous off-chain event. From user experience, we're prioritizing native assets, the simplicity that comes from just signing a single transaction, abstracting all the chains from end users, and being able to use universal apps from the same wallet that you already have. I think that's actually very important for chains like Bitcoin, for example, where a user might have a Bitcoin wallet that doesn't support other blockchains, or they don't have tokens on other blockchains. They don't really care about other blockchains either, but they still want to participate in DeFi applications. Well, now they can from the same wallet that they already have, without worrying about having gas on the destination chain, without ever needing to manually bridge their token to a different chain and then installing a different wallet. Like, none of this is great from user experience point of view, and we got rid of this completely. And of course, all of this is decentralized. So we have a set of validators that secure the ZetaChain network, but we also have a set of validators that secure cross-chain transactions. And again, thanks to the TSS architecture, no entity has access to these funds. They are only transferable if the validator said, the signer validator said, reaches consensus on where to send these tokens to. And of course, ZetaChain is its own L1 sovereign blockchain using proof of stake, which just adds to the reliability of the system. I think we stack up pretty well against other solutions. We offer unified liquidity, native Bitcoin support, programmable cross-chain orchestration with familiar EVM, and a set of other features. So let's talk stats a bit. ZetaChain is scalable thanks to the tech stack that it's using. It's powered by Comet BFT, which offers 5 to 7 second block time, thousands of transactions per second, very low transaction fees, and we currently have around 100 validators, but this number can change. It can go up to 200, depending what community thinks is best for the network. We have a pretty large community of users. So when you deploy on ZetaChain, you immediately get a large audience of people who are eager to use your application and potentially build other dApps that leverage your contracts. So you're going to be in a good company. Building on ZetaChain is simple. We have thousands of contracts deployed, process hundreds of thousands of cross-chain transactions on mainnet, and hundreds of dApps already partnered with ZetaChain. So having good APIs and interoperability is crucial, but at the same time, building a dApp cannot really be accomplished unless you have a good set of services and apps that you can leverage for RPCs, APIs like token APIs, NFT APIs. You probably need an Oracle. A good account abstraction definitely helps. You need explorers, you need wallet support, and much more. So we have all of that. So when you deploy on ZetaChain, you will get access to a large number of services that you can use to build the best dApp. And more integrations, of course, are coming soon. I think in the next few weeks, or we have 2 pretty big announcements. So I'm very excited about that. And all I can say is that developing apps on ZetaChain is just going to become so much easier after this integration. So really looking forward to that. Keep an eye on our Twitter to be the first to know about our new integrations. So ZetaChain is on mainnet since February 1st. Very excited about that. Of course, we have a testnet running, so you're going to deploy first on testnet. It's pretty much the same environment. New features are rolled out to testnet sooner, of course, but the overall environment is very similar to mainnet, and that's by design. Okay, well, I'm not going to go into Bitcoin. I think we already covered the Bitcoin integration part pretty extensively. All I can say is I think ZetaChain is a very solid platform to build your next great dApp on top of. I think as we are moving as an industry to a case where we have hundreds and thousands of blockchains, and all of them have different applications that users can interact with. The question of how do you build applications that are scalable, that are compatible with all the blockchains, it really becomes relevant, right? Like you have to choose which chains you deploy to. If you have and this choice can become pretty complex, right? You have to weigh a lot of factors. With ZetaChain, that's no longer the case, because by deploying a single universal app, you're essentially making it compatible with all the chains. So you don't have to make this choice anymore. You just deploy a single contract, and it's accessible by users from all these blockchains. So I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a platform that abstracts away all this multi-chain complexity from you as a developer, but still allowing you to have a dApp that is interoperable with any blockchain out there, with any dApp out there, and any wallet. So yeah, I think that kind of covers most of the features of ZetaChain. I'm sure you guys probably have questions. Would be more than happy to answer any of them.
Great. Yeah, thank you for the explanation. Yeah, I really love the idea that like with ZetaChain, you don't have to make it a choice like which chain to deploy on. Yeah, I really love that. And yeah, personally, I have several questions to ask of you. The first one is probably it's included in your slide, so it's gonna be a repeat question, but what are the specific advantages of using ZetaChain over other blockchain platforms?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of advantages. The first one is this interoperability that comes out of the box, and that you don't have to think about, you don't have to set up anything. You just deploy a contract, and it can natively accept input and produce outputs to other blockchains. The second advantage, I think, would be the familiar EVM experience. So some blockchains decide to use different VMs, which is interesting, but at the same time, it can pose a bit of a problem for developers, because the learning curve is much higher than the barrier to entry is higher than with EVM chains. So having the familiar EVM experience with extensions that let you accept calls from other blockchains is just super nice. And the fact that we also offer unified liquidity for your dApp is also crucial because you don't have to necessarily be limited by the liquidity on source and destination chains. You can tap into liquidity on ZetaChain, which kind of aggregates liquidity from existing chains. And this makes building applications much easier. In fact, one of our tutorials in the docs is a swap tutorial, and it takes around 60 lines of code to implement a universal swap application compatible with Ethereum, BNB, Bitcoin, with native gas tokens, ERC20s. So it's all in 60 lines of code, which is very compact. And this tiny tutorial-like application already allows users to move value between chains. For example, a good use case for this application is, let's say I'm a Bitcoin user and I want to send USDC to someone on Ethereum. I don't have an Ethereum wallet. I don't have ETH to pay for gas. I just have a Bitcoin wallet and I have some BTC. This is a perfect use case for this universal swap application, because as a user, I sign one transaction, send BTC to a ZetaChain address, and these tokens are transferred to your universal application, which then processes it and produces an output on Ethereum, which is a very powerful architecture to build your dApp on top of, because you don't ask your users to have any additional wallets or sign a bunch of different transactions on different chains that they never use. You just ask them to keep using the same wallet and the same chain that they're already familiar with. And that goes the other way around. If an Ethereum user wants to send native Bitcoin to someone on the Bitcoin network, right? They don't want to send wrapped Bitcoin. They want to send the native thing, and they can do that. And we're just talking about one example application that you can build in 30 minutes by following a tutorial. Of course, the application that you're going to build is going to be much more interesting, and I'm really looking forward to see what you guys build.
Great. Yeah, that's really nice, impressive. Great. So I'm gonna have another question, which is about the apps. Like, can you list a few universal apps which you think are a great example for builders, like existing apps?
Yeah, so I think we are seeing, aside from kind of from traditional DeFi applications, we're seeing a lot of interest in building lending applications, applications that focus on liquid staking, as well as, like, I personally see a lot of potential in applications that deal with gaming, right? Like build games that can accept input from any chain. I think it's really powerful because you can really leverage that without all the bridges, and because when a user wants to play a game, buy something in a game, they don't want to deal with bridges. They don't want to move assets. They don't want to think about any of that. Like, the most that they can do is open a wallet they already have and sign a transaction. That's exactly what we offer as a platform that we can leverage. There are also interesting ideas in social applications. Just recently, another popular ecosystem with their own messaging application introduced a dating application integrated with their chain. I think this is a very interesting area to explore as well. But with ZetaChain, an application like this will be connected to all the chains out of the box, which is again, I strongly believe that pretty much any application you can think of could benefit from this layer of interoperability that you get. So bringing more apps to ZetaChain, augmenting them with interop, just supercharges them and increases their audience as well. Because if you decide to build on BNB, even though it's a very popular chain, you still don't get users of Bitcoin. And you're not going to get users of Bitcoin unless you build on a chain that is natively connected to Bitcoin. And that's one of the reasons why I think building on ZetaChain is a very good idea. And of course, you can also build all sorts of things with NFTs, real-world assets, right? Tokenizing existing physical assets, and yeah, just adding more utility to NFTs, building Bitcoin NFTs on ZetaChain. So yeah, a lot of interesting opportunities, I think.
Yeah, thank you for the great examples. Sounds like there are a lot of benefits for users as well, like getting rid of the hassle of switching network or switching during using the apps. Wow, that's great. Yeah, and the next question will be the last question from my side. But so the audience of this onboarding session is willing to participate in the WaveHack of the ZetaChain, I think. So what support and resources are available for the developers building with the ZetaChain?
Yeah, so we have documentation in place that has a lot of examples, both for smart contract development as well as front end. So you can get up and running very quickly in a matter of hours. We have a very active Discord with a dev general channel where you can ask questions, and the community is there to help you. And yeah, I'll do my best to answer your questions, of course, as well. You have a set of tools available for you to track your transactions, debug them. So this process is getting much better. So you just run a single command on the CLI, and you can track a transaction very easily. You, as a developer, you don't have to think too much about cross-chain gas. It's all covered in tutorials. It's very easy. You just query the gas amount and the token, maybe execute a swap operation to get the required tokens, and that's it. The protocol will charge your contract with the required amount. And yes, I think all the tools are in place. If you need a price oracle, we have Pyth integrated, so you can use that. You have Particle Network for chain abstraction, Block Scout, a very good explorer for EVM chains, as well as Datascan, of course. So all the tools are there, and yeah.
Great, amazing, thank you. So yeah, we got one question from community. Yeah, about the developer resources. I heard ZetaChain support account abstraction. Is there any docs for that?
Yeah, so ZetaChain doesn't offer account abstraction out of the box because that's not something we're focused on. But we have partnered with Particle Network, and if you go to ZetaChain docs, there is a page dedicated to Particle, and they have a tutorial on how to use account abstraction. That being said, universal apps can be accessed from other blockchains. So users don't necessarily need to interact with them directly on ZetaChain. They can interact with them from Ethereum, for example. So with account abstraction, you can actually use any account abstraction system that exists on Ethereum right now, because that's how your users most likely would use universal apps. So not directly from ZetaChain, although that's something you can definitely do. But if you want to send ETH or USDC or another supported token to your universal app, you're going to do that from Ethereum, for example. So that's where you can use account abstraction tools available.
Got it. So thanks for the question and thanks for answering that. So as we are coming to a conclusion, Dennis, do you have any last comments for the audiences or builders towards the WaveHack?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm very excited and looking forward to see what you guys build. I think it's a very good time to build universal applications, apps that are future-proof, that don't limit your users to a specific chain, that allow your users to manage assets and transfer value freely. So we're here to build the tools and provide the platform for you to build great dapps. So I'm very looking forward to your app ideas, and happy building.
Nice. Happy building, builders. Thank you. So thank you everyone for your participation in today's session. Special thanks to Dennis for his insightful presentation and for answering our questions. It was a fantastic opportunity to delve deeper into the ZetaChain and understand its pivotal role in the blockchain ecosystem. As we wrap up, I encourage everyone to keep exploring the possibilities with ZetaChain, especially focusing on the build theme we discussed. Remember, the build universal apps, especially for the social, NFT, and gaming field, is not just a chance to win a grant, but also an opportunity to contribute to a vibrant and growing community, of the ZetaChain. As he said, so there is a strong community with Discord, so you can feel free to communicate within them. And please keep an eye on Luma page and our upcoming sessions for more resources and support as you build your projects. If you have any further questions or need guidance, don't hesitate to reach out to our official channels such as X and Discord. Yeah, thank you once again for joining us today. We hope to see you at our next session, and we can't wait to see what you will build. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Johnny. Bye-bye. Okay. Stop our YouTube channel.
The broadcast is stopped.
Thank you for great presentation, Dennis.